Okay, so we've all been there, right? Staring down that job interview, feeling that, like, knot in your stomach.
Oh, tell me about it.
But what if we could, like, bottle that nervous energy and turn it into interview-crushing confidence?
That would be a game changer.
Totally, and that's exactly what we're diving into today with how to win the job by communicating with confidence.
I like that title.
Right. It's less about surviving the hot seat and more about showcasing the rock star you already are.
I love that. And it's so true. So many people approach interviews like a test instead of a conversation.
It's like showing up to a first date with a PowerPoint on why they should pick you.
Exactly. Nobody wants to see that.
Hard pass. But seriously, though, what I appreciate about this author is she walks the walk. She built her career coaching business from scratch after facing tons of rejections herself.
Wow, that's really inspiring.
Right. Talk about turning impossible into I'm possible. But it's not about like strutting in like you own the place.
It's about knowing your worth.
Exactly. And that all starts with self-awareness, like really understanding your strengths, your skills.
Which is something so many job seekers struggle with.
Oh, for sure. It's like that moment when someone asks, tell me about yourself, and your mind goes blank.
Been there. It's not enough to just say, I'm a hard worker or I'm a people person.
You need specifics.
Yes. And the book makes a great point about differentiating between like general skills and job-specific skills.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break that down for me.
So communication, that's important for almost every job, right?
Makes sense.
But if you're applying to be a software engineer, it's your coding skills that really matter.
Right. Those are the skills that directly relate to the job.
Exactly. So you have to connect the dots for the interviewer. Show them how your unique skills make you the perfect fit for this job.
It's about tailoring your experience to their needs.
Exactly. And this is where it gets even juicier. The book dives into personal traits and competencies.
Okay. Those sound important. Tell me more.
So personal traits are those inherent qualities you bring. Dependability, creativity, work ethic, things like that.
Got it. And competencies.
Those are clusters of skills.
Yeah.
Employers look for things like adaptability, problem solving, leadership.
So it's not just what you know, but how you navigate the workplace.
Precisely. And the book gives this example of financial advisors. Sure, they need to understand finance. But even more important, handling rejection, building relationships, bouncing back from setbacks.
It's about those soft skills, the resilience.
Yes.
It's about the whole package. That's huge. So much advice focuses on hard skills. But this is about recognizing the power of soft skills.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the value you bring beyond just a job title.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually convey that to employers? Because let's be real, saying I'm a hard worker with a positive attitude, it's kind of cliche.
Totally.
About it.
And that's where the book brings in this brilliant concept called Q statements.
Okay, Q statements, I'm all ears.
Imagine this. Instead of saying, I'm good at saving money, you say, in my previous role, I streamlined the inventory system, reducing waste by 20% and saving the company $1.2 million annually.
Mic drop moment right there.
Right. It's about showing, not just telling.
Love it.
And the book is full of great examples like this biologist who said, my research team discovered 4 unknown plant species in the California mountains.
Okay, that's way more compelling than I like plants.
Exactly. It's about those concrete, memorable examples that showcase your impact.
It's about turning those vague descriptions into powerful statements.
Precisely. Give employers a taste of what you can do.
Okay, I'm sold on Q statements. I'm already brainstorming mine as we speak. But crafting that perfect soundbite, that's only like half the battle, right?
You got it. Interview prep is key.
So what does that look like?
Well, the book compares it to, get this, going on a first date.
Ooh, interesting analogy.
Right. You wouldn't show up without doing a little research, would you?
Definitely not. Got to scope out the situation.
Exactly. It's the same with a job interview. You want to align your, what the author calls, awesomeness with their needs and values.
I like that. Aligning your awesomeness. So how do we do that?
Research. And go beyond the surface level of their website.
So be on the About Us page.
Yeah. Check out the leadership team, their backgrounds, what they're all about. Even like the design of the website can be telling.
You mean like if it's all sleek and modern?
Exactly. Reveal something about their company culture. And just like you might do a little social media sleuthing before a date.
Oh, 100%.
The book suggests checking out resources like hoovers.com or even library databases.
Library databases for job hunting.
Oh, yeah. They're a goldmine of information, financial performance, their competitors. You can even uncover red flags.
Like what?
Lawsuits, leadership changes, stuff like that.
Knowledge is power. Okay, so we've honed our story. We've researched the company. Now for the actual interview.
Right. Facing those interview questions. And the book does a great job of breaking down how to tackle both the straightforward ones and those curveball questions.
So let's start with the classics. Tell me about yourself. What are your weaknesses? Those always trip me up.
Oh, they're tough for sure.
Yeah.
The book gives you some helpful frameworks, though, for answering them. It talks about weaving in your skills, those cue statements we talked about, and even creating what's called a positioning statement.
Positioning statement.
That's a new one.
It's basically like your elevator pitch. It summarizes your value proposition.
Okay, so it's like, I'm a data-driven marketer with a proven track record of success.
Exactly. It tells them who you are, what you do, and what you bring to the table. But then there are those tougher questions, the ones where you're not quite sure what they're really asking. Oh, you mean like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yes, that's a classic example of a question behind the question. On the surface, it's about your aspirations, but they might be wondering about your commitment to the company, or if you're already gunning for their job.
I never thought about it like that. It's like reading between the lines.
Exactly. And the book gives you strategies for answering authentically while still reassuring the interviewer. And then there are the what-if questions.
Oh, those are tough. Like, what would you do if you found out your coworker was stealing? Talk about a pressure cooker.
Right, but these questions aren't really about having a right answer. It's more about your thought process.
So instead of panicking, just talk it through.
Yes. Show them you can think on your feet and how you'd approach a challenging situation.
So it's really revealing your character, how you handle the curveballs life throws at you.
Exactly.
This is making me realize that interview prep is about way more than just like memorizing answers.
100%. It's about strategy, understanding the psychology of the interview.
Totally. Showcasing your best self. Okay, this has been super insightful. But how do we tackle the part everyone dreads, salary negotiation? Honestly, salary negotiation is like my biggest fear. It feels so awkward, you know?
Yeah, it can be a little uncomfortable.
It's like, am I supposed to haggle?
The book actually reframes it, though, as more of a collaborative process, like you're on the same team.
Okay, that already makes me feel a little better.
It's not about demanding a number. It's more about finding that win-win.
I like that.
Yeah.
So how do we approach this collaborative process without completely losing it?
Well, the book breaks it down into 4 things to keep in mind. It calls them the 4 bargaining factors.
4 bargaining factors. Okay, lay it on me.
All right, so number 1, know your worth. And, I mean, really know it. Like, what are other people with your experience making in your area?
Right, do your research.
Exactly. And websites like Glassdoor and Salary.com are super helpful for that. Number 2 is about what makes you more valuable than the next candidate.
So those cue statements come in handy here.
They totally do. Highlight those accomplishments. Okay, number 3 is about getting really clear on your salary and benefits goals. What's your walkaway point?
Meaning like the lowest I'll go.
Exactly. And what are those non-negotiables? Remote work, flexible hours, things like that.
This is great. I'm already feeling more prepared.
Awesome. And then the final factor is knowing yourself. Like, how do you handle negotiations? How long are you willing to go back and forth?
Okay, so we've got our plan. Now about the actual conversation. How do we actually talk numbers without getting flustered?
Well, the book talks about what it calls open door negotiating.
Open door negotiating. I like that. Tell me more.
It's about keeping that dialogue open and avoiding an ultimatum situation. So first and foremost, don't even mention salary until they offer you the job.
Oh, that's a good tip. Wait for them to bring it up.
Yes. And when you do get to salary expectations, don't throw out a specific number right away. Give a range.
So instead of saying, I want $75,000, I could say, I'm looking for something in the mid-70s.
Perfect. That keeps things open. And here's a pro tip. When they give you an offer, don't say anything right away.
Even if I love it.
Especially if you love it. Take a minute to think it over. It shows you're being thoughtful.
Silence is powerful. I like it.
It really is. And at the end of the day, remember, you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. It has to be the right fit.
This has honestly been so helpful. It's amazing how much anxiety we put on ourselves around job interviews when it doesn't have to be that way.
It's about being prepared and remembering your worth.
It's about finding that job that lights you up. This deep dive into how to win the job by communicating with confidence has been amazing. It's packed with practical tips anyone can use, so definitely check it out. Until next time, happy diving.